everyone, Chang here and welcome to my channel. This is the skill building video series where basically we pick a specific skill and we practice on it so that next time when we see a similar problem or one that requires that skill, we can solve it with ease. Let's begin. For today's video, we're going to focus on the value of algebraic expression. Now, it's usually kind of weird when you hear expression and they're asking you to do something with it. There's really not much you can do. There's nothing you can really solve with expressions. But when they ask you to find the value, it usually means something like this. They give you the value of the variables in the expression, and your job is to plug in the value so that in the end, after you simplify, after you combine like terms, you do all of that and you get that one final number. That is your answer, that is your value, and that's usually what these kind of problem is asking you to do. So, well, let's practice. So for this first problem, we have 8 divided by 1 over x, where x equals 5. So in place of x, now we know that actually that's just 5. So rather than 8 divided by 1 over x, we're just going to have 8 divided by 1 over, and where x is, we're actually going to put 5. Okay, so 8 divided by 1 over 5, we know fractions, so it's going to be 8 times 5 basically. Remember that when you're dividing by fractions, you flip it over and you just multiply across, right? So that's just 8 over 1 divided by 1 over 5, which is the same as 8 over 1 times 5 over 1, which is 8 times 5. In this case, the answer is 40. So here's another problem. Here we have 2x minus 7 over 8x. Now there's different ways to approach it. You can easily combine like terms, just simplify as much as possible before you plug it in. Or you can plug it in and then just solve. Well, in this case, I'm just going to plug it in and then try to figure this out. So we have 2, and instead of x right now, we know that x is 2 itself. So we're going to substitute all the x to equal 2. So in this case, it's going to be 2 times 2. It's going to be minus 7 over 8. And instead of x, now it's going to be multiplying by 2 as well. Here we have 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract 7 over, and then this one is 8 times 2, which is 16. Now, in this case, we usually want to combine these two numbers and then simplify as much as possible. So this is 16, this is 4, so if we were to change this into a fraction, so we can actually subtract it, it's going to be 4 times 16, which is 64 over 16 minus 7 over 16. Well, 64 minus 7 is going to be 57, and the bottom is still 16. So this would be our value for this expression. Now for this problem, even though it looks a little scarier, it's actually the same thing. Here we have x minus 1 over 4 times y, and this one gives us now x and y. So in place of where x is, we're just going to substitute this value, and in place of y, we're just going to substitute this value. So x is 3, so we're going to have 3, and then we're going to have minus 1 over 4. Now, instead of y, we have 1, so we're multiplying it by 1. Well, in this case, this is just going to be 3 minus and 1 over 4 times 1, because any number times 1 is going to be the number itself. It's going to be 3 minus 1/4. Now, in this case, we're going to try to combine them. 3, we want the denominator to be 4, so we're going to multiply technically top and bottoms, because it's 3 over 1. Top and bottom by 4, we basically have 12 over 4 minus 1 over 4, which is this guy right here, and that's just going to give us 11 over 4, and this is our answer. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to refrain from actually just giving the explanation, and let's see if you guys can follow along. Thank you so much for watching this video on values of algebraic expressions. See you in the next video.